Welcome to the channel, The Coin Lore Vault. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? And what if I told you that a simple penny from 1968, one that millions of Americans handled without a second thought, could now be worth over $3,000? Most people tossed these coins into jars, spent them on candy, or let them gather dust in old drawers, never knowing they were holding a potential fortune in their hands. This is not just any penny. This is the 1968 D Lincoln Penny. And before this video ends, you're going to learn exactly why this seemingly ordinary piece of copper could change your life forever. But here's the catch: you need to know exactly what to look for, because not every 1968 D penny is worth thousands. Only the special ones, the ones with specific errors and characteristics that make collectors go absolutely wild at auctions. Now, imagine this: you're at home right now, maybe you have a coin jar on your dresser, or perhaps there's an old collection tucked away in your attic that belonged to your grandparents. And sitting there, mixed in with all the regular change, could be a 1968 D Lincoln Penny that's worth a staggering $3,100, or potentially even more depending on its condition and the specific error it carries. Let that sink in for a moment. $3,100 for a single penny. But before we dive deep into what makes this coin so incredibly valuable, I want you to stick around, because after we cover this 1968 treasure, we're going to reveal not one, but two more pennies that are worth even more than this one. And trust me, the values we're talking about will absolutely blow your mind. So make sure you watch until the very end, because you do not want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's talk about 1968, a year that was absolutely explosive in American history. The Vietnam War was raging, Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy were tragically assassinated, protests erupted across college campuses, and the country was in the midst of tremendous social upheaval. But while all of this was happening, the United States Mint in Denver was quietly producing millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies, stamping that little D mint mark right below the date to indicate they came from the Denver facility. The 1968 D Lincoln Penny was supposed to be just another ordinary coin, a simple 1-cent piece featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, designed by Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo respectively. And under normal circumstances, these pennies would be worth exactly what they say, 1 cent. But here's where things get fascinating, because during the minting process, mistakes happen, errors occur, and when they do, collectors pay massive premiums to own these numismatic anomalies. The 1968 D Lincoln Penny that sold for $3,100 wasn't just any regular strike. Oh no, it was a coin with incredibly rare characteristics that made it stand out from the literally billions of other pennies produced that year. We're talking about coins with double dies, where the design elements appear to be stamped twice, creating a dramatic doubling effect on the date, the letters, or Lincoln's profile itself. And when you see this doubling under magnification, it's absolutely unmistakable. The letters look bold, thick, and appear to have a shadow or echo effect that screams error to any trained eye. There are also 1968 D pennies with off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned in the press and the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving part of the planchet blank and part of it showing only a portion of Lincoln's face or the memorial. And these off-center errors, especially when they're struck 10% or more off-center while still showing the full date and mint mark, can command prices in the thousands of dollars range, because they're visually striking and incredibly scarce. Then you have wrong planchet errors, where a 1968 D penny was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, like a dime planchet, resulting in a penny that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and absolutely mind-blowing to collectors who understand just how rare these mint mistakes truly are. But here's what you really need to understand: condition is everything in the coin collecting world, and a 1968 D Lincoln Penny in circulated, worn condition with some kind of error might be worth $50, $100, maybe $500 depending on the specific variety. But take that exact same error and find it in what's called mint state condition, meaning it never circulated, never got scratched, never got handled, and still has its original mint luster shining like the day it was made. And suddenly, you're looking at thousands of dollars, potentially even more if it grades MS 67 or higher on the Sheldon grading scale, which runs from 1 to 70. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC put these coins in protective slabs after examining them under microscopes and assigning them official grades. And when a 1968 D penny comes back in a high grade with a significant error, that's when auction houses start salivating and collectors start emptying their bank accounts, because they know they're looking at something truly special. The $3,100 sale that put this coin on the map was for a specimen that combined rarity, error, and pristine condition into one perfect package, and whoever found that coin probably had no idea what they had until they took it to a dealer or submitted it for grading. Imagine their shock when they discovered their old penny was worth more than a used car. Now, real-world finds of valuable 1968 D pennies happen more often than you might think. And I'm not just talking about professional coin hunters. I'm talking about regular people, people just like you, who stumbled upon these treasures in the most unexpected places. Someone found a high-grade 1968 D double-die penny in an old piggy bank that hadn't been opened since childhood. Another collector discovered one mixed into a batch of pennies they bought at face value from a bank, and there are documented cases of people inheriting coin collections from relatives who had set aside coins decades ago without realizing they were sitting on thousands of dollars in value. The key is knowing what to look for, and that means examining your pennies carefully, and I mean carefully. Get yourself a decent magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. Look closely at the date and the letters in Liberty, and In God We Trust. Check for any signs of doubling, look for off-center strikes, examine the surfaces for original mint luster, and compare your coins to reference images online or in coin collecting guidebooks like the Red Book, which every serious collector owns. If you think you've found something, and trust me, the excitement when you spot that double die or that off-center strike is absolutely electric, then your next step is to have it authenticated and graded by a professional service, because that certification is what turns your potential treasure into cold hard cash that collectors will fight over at auction. Remember, even if your 1968 D penny doesn't have a major error, if it's in exceptional uncirculated condition, it might still be worth $5, $10, or even $50 to the right buyer, which is still 500 to 5,000 times its face value, and that's nothing to sneeze at. But here's something crucial that I need you to understand. The coin market is driven by passion, by history, by the thrill of the hunt, and by the knowledge that you're holding a piece of American heritage in your hands, and the 1968 D Lincoln penny represents all of that in one small copper package. Think about it, this coin was minted during one of the most turbulent years in modern American history. It passed through countless hands, witnessed decades of change, survived being spent and respent, and somehow, against all odds, a few of these pennies remained in pristine condition or carried errors that made them exponentially more valuable than anyone could have predicted. When you hold a high-grade 1968 D penny, you're not just holding money, you're holding a time capsule, a connection to the past, a reminder of craftsmanship and minting processes that have evolved dramatically since then, and that's what makes numismatics so addictive, so thrilling, so worth pursuing even if you never find that $3,100 penny, because the journey itself, the searching, the learning, the discovering is absolutely priceless. And speaking of priceless, I mentioned earlier that this 1968 D penny, as valuable as it is not the most expensive coin we're covering today. Oh no, we've got 2 more pennies coming up that are worth even more, and when I reveal those values, you're going to understand why checking your pocket change isn't just a hobby, it's potentially a life-changing activity that could put thousands of extra dollars in your bank account. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the next penny we're about to discuss is worth over $3,300. And the one after that? Well, let's just say it crosses the $4,000 mark, and I'm going to show you exactly what makes these coins so extraordinarily valuable and how you can identify them if they're hiding in your collection right now. So stay tuned, keep watching, and get ready to have your mind absolutely blown by what's coming next in this incredible journey through rare and valuable Lincoln pennies. Next, 1998 D Lincoln penny. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. And what if I told you that a Lincoln penny from 1998, a coin that most people consider modern, recent, and completely worthless beyond its 1-cent face value, could actually be worth an astounding $3,350 to the right collector? I know what you're thinking. How could a penny from just over 25 years ago possibly be worth thousands of dollars when there are literally billions of them still in circulation today? But here's the shocking truth. Among those billions of 1998 D Lincoln pennies struck at the Denver Mint, there exists a small handful of specimens that possess characteristics so rare, so desirable, so absolutely spectacular that collectors will empty their wallets to own them. This is the 1998 D Lincoln penny, and by the time you finish listening to this section, you're going to know exactly what separates a common penny worth 1 cent from a numismatic treasure worth $3,350 or potentially even more in the right circumstances. Now, before we go any further, I need you to stay focused, because after we finish discussing this incredible 1998 D penny, we still have one more coin to cover, and let me tell you, that final penny is worth over $4,000, making it the crown jewel of this entire video. So don't you dare leave before we get there, because you'll regret missing what I'm about to reveal about that ultimate treasure. But first, let's dive deep into the world of the 1998 D Lincoln Penny and uncover exactly why certain examples of this seemingly modern coin have sold for prices that would make your head spin. The year 1998 was a fascinating time in America. The economy was booming, the internet was transforming daily life, President Bill Clinton was in the middle of his second term dealing with impeachment proceedings, and popular culture was dominated by boy bands, the Spice Girls, and movies like Titanic and Saving Private Ryan. But while all of this was happening in the cultural zeitgeist, the Denver Mint was cranking out over 5 billion Lincoln pennies, each one bearing that distinctive D Mint mark below the date, and to the casual observer, these coins were just ordinary pocket change, destined to buy gumballs, get tossed into fountain wishes, or accumulate in jars on bedroom dressers across the country. The standard 1998 D Lincoln penny features the classic Victor David Brenner design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the words "In God We Trust" arcing above his head, Liberty running along the left side, and the date 1998, positioned to the right of Lincoln's portrait with that small D Mint mark tucked just below, while the reverse shows Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design with United States of America and E Pluribus Unum above the memorial building, and 1 cent below it. Simple, straightforward, and produced in such massive quantities that finding one in your change is about as remarkable as finding air to breathe. But, and this is a massive but, the coin we're talking about isn't your average 1998 D penny. The specimens that command $3,350 or more are the ones that exhibit what collectors call the wide AM variety. And this is where things get absolutely fascinating because this variety represents a genuine mint error that occurred during a very specific period of production. And understanding what makes it special requires a little bit of technical knowledge that I'm going to break down for you right now in a way that makes perfect sense. Look at the reverse of a normal penny, specifically at the word America underneath the Lincoln Memorial, and pay very close attention to the letters A and M in that word on a regular 1998 D penny. These two letters are positioned very close together, so close that they're almost touching, with the right leg of the A and the left leg of the M appearing to nearly merge, and this spacing is correct for pennies made after 1992 when the Mint changed the master hub design. However, on the wide AM variety, something went wrong during production, and a master die from the pre-1993 era, which featured wider spacing between these letters, was accidentally used to create working dies for 1998 pennies, resulting in coins where you can see a noticeable gap between the A and the M, hence the name wide AM. And while this might seem like an insignificant detail to the untrained eye, to numismatists and serious collectors, this is the holy grail of modern Lincoln penny errors. Why does this matter so much, you might ask? And the answer lies in rarity combined with demand. The wide AM variety was never supposed to exist for 1998 pennies. It represents a breakdown in the Mint's quality control, a mistake that somehow slipped through the cracks, and only a tiny fraction of the 5+ billion 1998 D pennies show this characteristic, making it extraordinarily scarce, especially in high grades where the coin shows no signs of wear, retains full mint luster, and exhibits sharp strike details across Lincoln's hair, the memorial columns, and all the lettering. When one of these wide AM varieties surfaces in gem uncirculated condition, graded MS66 or higher by PCGS or NGC, that's when the bidding wars begin. That's when collectors who specialize in Lincoln cent errors start throwing serious money at the coin, and that's exactly how we arrived at that $3,350 price point that we mentioned at the beginning. This was a real auction result for a 1998 D wide AM penny in exceptional condition, and it proves beyond any doubt that even modern coins can be worth thousands if they possess the right combination of error and preservation. Beyond the wide AM variety, there are other characteristics that can make a 1998 D penny valuable, including full red designation, which means the coin has retained 100% of its original copper red color without any brown oxidation or toning, exceptional strike quality where every detail is razor sharp and fully brought up by the dies, and eye appeal, which is that intangible quality that makes a coin just pop when you look at it. The kind of visual wow factor that makes collectors fall in love at first sight. A 1998 D penny that combines wide AM spacing with full red color MS67 or MS68 grade, and spectacular eye appeal could potentially sell for even more than $3,350, possibly reaching $5,000 or higher depending on how badly two collectors want it at auction. And that's the beauty and the madness of the rare coin market. Prices are ultimately determined by what passionate collectors are willing to pay. Now, let me paint you a picture of what it's like when someone actually discovers one of these treasures, because these finds happen, they're real, and they could happen to you if you know what to look for and you're willing to put in the effort to examine your coins carefully. There's a documented story of a collector who was going through rolls of pennies purchased directly from a bank, a practice called coin roll hunting that's become increasingly popular among numismatists. And while sorting through what seemed like endless quantities of common 1998 pennies, this person noticed something odd about one particular coin. The spacing between the A and M in America looked different, wider than it should be, and after comparing it to reference images and getting a second opinion from an experienced collector, the realization hit like a lightning bolt. This was a wide AM variety. The coin was submitted to PCGS for grading, came back as MS66RD, meaning mint state 66 full red, and subsequently sold at auction for over $3,000, turning a 1-cent investment into a windfall profit that more than justified all those hours spent examining pennies under a magnifying glass. Another discovery happened when someone inherited a small collection from an uncle who had casually set aside coins over the years without any particular expertise, just pulling coins from circulation that looked interesting or seemed in nice condition. And buried in that accumulation was a 1998 penny that, upon closer inspection, revealed the telltale wide AM spacing, and after authentication and grading, it too sold for thousands of dollars, providing an unexpected financial blessing to the inheritor who had no idea such value existed in what appeared to be a jar of modern pennies. These stories aren't fairy tales, they're documented realities in the numismatic community, and they prove that with knowledge, patience, and a bit of luck, anyone can stumble upon significant value hiding in plain sight. So how do you find one of these valuable 1998 pennies? And what should you be doing right now if you think you might have one or if you want to start searching for one? First and foremost, you need to understand what you're looking for, which means studying reference images of the wide AM variety versus the normal close AM variety. There are excellent online resources, YouTube videos, and coin collecting forums where experienced collectors share high-resolution photos comparing the two varieties side by side. And once you've trained your eye to recognize that wider spacing, you'll be able to spot it instantly when examining coins. Get yourself a good quality magnifying glass or loupe with at least 10x magnification, because trying to see the spacing difference with the naked eye is extremely difficult and you'll miss it more often than not. And when you're examining the reverse of a 1998 penny, focus on that word America. Look at where the right vertical leg of the A meets the left vertical leg of the M, and on a normal coin they'll appear very close or nearly touching, while on a wide AM they'll have a visible gap. That's unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. Beyond the wide AM characteristic, you also want to assess the overall condition of the coin, because even a wide AM variety in heavily circulated, scratched, or damaged condition won't be worth thousands. It might still be worth $50 to $200 depending on the level of wear, but the big money is in coins that are uncirculated, meaning they never entered circulation and retain their original mint luster, and these are most likely to be found in mint sets, bank rolls from 1998 that were never opened, or in collections where someone set aside nice-looking pennies without spending them. If you do find what you believe is a 1998 wide AM penny in nice condition, do not clean it. Do not handle it excessively with your bare fingers, because the oils from your skin can cause damage and toning over time. Instead, place it carefully in a protective coin flip or holder, and then decide whether you want to submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and encapsulation, which will provide you with a tamper-proof holder and an official grade that dramatically increases the coin's marketability and value when you're ready to sell. The market for modern Lincoln penny errors like the 1998 wide AM has remained strong and even grown over the past decade, because collectors love the challenge of finding valuable coins in circulation or in recent rolls. There's something incredibly satisfying about discovering a $3,000 coin that's only 20-some years old, rather than a century-old rarity that requires deep pockets just to acquire in the first place. And this accessibility combined with genuine scarcity creates perfect market conditions for sustained demand and impressive prices. Auction records show that 1998 wide AM pennies in MS66RD grade have consistently sold in the $2,500 to $3,500 range, with occasional specimens in MS67RD reaching $4,000 to $6,000 when bidding gets competitive. And these aren't flash-in-the-pan results. They're repeatable outcomes that demonstrate real value backed by collector demand. And that's what makes this coin such an exciting target for anyone interested in coin collecting as a hobby or even as an investment strategy. Remember, every single one of these valuable 1998 D pennies started out as ordinary pocket change. They were minted alongside billions of regular pennies, released into circulation through banks and businesses, and ended up in random people's hands purely by chance, which means statistically speaking, there are still undiscovered examples out there waiting to be found, sitting in old jars, tucked into drawers, mixed into change bowls, or circulating through commerce right now as you listen to this, and the person who finds the next one could be you if you commit to checking your pennies carefully and educating yourself about what to look for. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility of discovery, the knowledge that a fortune could be hiding in your pocket. This is what makes numismatics such an addictive and rewarding pursuit. And the 1998 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how modern coins can be just as valuable and exciting as their antique counterparts. But as incredible as this $3,350 penny is, and as mind-blowing as it may seem that something from 1998 can be worth thousands of dollars, I've got news for you. We're not done yet, not even close, because there's still one more penny to cover in this video, and this final coin is the absolute king of the three we're discussing today, valued at over $4,000, and when you hear the details about this ultimate treasure, you're going to be absolutely stunned by just how valuable a simple Lincoln penny can become. So stay with me. Keep watching, because what's coming next is the grand finale you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Next, 1999 D Lincoln penny. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and what I'm about to reveal to you might just change the way you look at pocket change forever, because the coin we're discussing right now, the 1999 D Lincoln penny, has reached values that seem absolutely impossible for something so common, so modern, so seemingly ordinary. We're talking about a penny that has sold for an earth-shattering $4,000, and yes, you heard that correctly, $4,000 for a single 1-cent piece from 1999, a year that most of us remember clearly because it wasn't that long ago. This is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure we've been building toward throughout this entire video, and by the time I'm finished explaining exactly what makes this coin so phenomenally valuable, you're going to be racing to check every single 1999 penny you can get your hands on, because the possibility, however slim, that you might be holding one of these rarities is just too tantalizing to ignore. The 1999 D Lincoln penny represents everything that's exciting, thrilling, and potentially life-changing about coin collecting. It's modern enough that millions of them still exist in circulation. It's accessible enough that anyone could theoretically find one without spending a fortune. And yet it's rare enough in the right condition and variety that collectors will pay absolutely insane prices to add it to their collections. And that combination of factors creates the perfect storm for numismatic value that reaches into the thousands of dollars. Now, let me take you back to 1999, a year that was absolutely dominated by Y2K fears as everyone worried that computer systems would crash when the calendar rolled over to 2000, a year when The Matrix hit theaters and blew everyone's minds, when the euro was introduced as currency in Europe, when Napster launched and forever changed how we consume music, and when the Denver Mint, completely oblivious to the future collectible frenzy they were about to create, struck over 6 billion Lincoln pennies bearing that small D mint mark below the date. 6 billion coins flooding into circulation, passing through countless hands, funding purchases from vending machines to parking meters, and the overwhelming majority of them worth exactly what they say, 1 measly cent. But hidden among those billions were a select few specimens that possessed a characteristic so rare, so sought after, so absolutely crucial to serious Lincoln cent collectors that their value would eventually skyrocket to levels that make even seasoned numismatists shake their heads in amazement. The 1999 D Lincoln penny that commands $4,000 or more isn't just any ordinary example that you'd find in your pocket change today. Oh no, we're talking about coins that exhibit the famous wide AM variety that we discussed earlier with the 1998 penny, combined with absolutely pristine condition that borders on perfection. The kind of preservation that's extraordinarily difficult to find in a coin that's been sitting around for over 2 decades. Let me explain exactly what makes this coin so special and why collectors are willing to pay the price of a used car to own one. Because understanding the why behind the value is absolutely essential if you're going to successfully hunt for these treasures yourself. Just like with the 1998 D penny, the wide AM variety on 1999 D pennies represents a mint error where the wrong master hub was used during die production, resulting in coins where the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse show noticeably wider spacing than they should. On a normal 1999 D penny, the close AM spacing is correct and standard, with the right leg of the A and the left leg of the M positioned very close together, almost touching, but on the wide AM variety, there's A distinct gap between these letters that's immediately visible under magnification, and this spacing represents the use of an older, pre-1993 master hub that should not have been in service for coins dated 1999. The mint made a mistake, plain and simple, and that mistake created one of the most desirable modern Lincoln cent varieties in existence, a variety so rare that finding one in high grade is like winning a small lottery, and when you combine that rarity with gem uncirculated condition graded MS67 or MS68 by professional services like PCGS or NGC, you've got yourself a coin that serious collectors will fight over at auction, driving prices up to $4,000, $5,000, or even higher depending on how perfect the coin is and how badly multiple bidders want it. The $4,000 price point we're discussing represents actual auction results for 1999 D-wide AM pennies in exceptional grades. And these aren't isolated flukes or fake sales. They're legitimate transactions documented in auction archives and dealer records, proving beyond any doubt that this modern penny has achieved truly remarkable status in the numismatic marketplace. But here's what makes the 1999 D-wide AM even more exciting than the 1998 version we covered earlier. It's actually rarer in high grades, with fewer examples having been certified by the major grading companies, which creates even more intense competition among collectors who specialize in completing date and variety sets of Lincoln cents. And when supply is extremely limited but demand remains high or even increases over time, prices naturally climb to levels that seem absurd to outsiders but make perfect sense to those who understand the market dynamics. Think about it from a collector's perspective for a moment. Someone who spent years, maybe even decades, assembling a complete collection of Lincoln pennies with every date, every mint mark, every significant variety, is not going to let their collection remain incomplete just because one coin costs $4,000, especially if they've already invested tens of thousands of dollars into the rest of their collection. So when a high-grade 1999 D-wide AM comes up for sale, these dedicated collectors open their wallets and bid whatever it takes to secure the coin, and that's how prices reach these stratospheric levels. The coin market is driven by passion and completion, by the desire to own the absolute best examples of each variety, and for Lincoln cent enthusiasts, the 1999 D-wide AM in gem condition is simply non-negotiable. It must be acquired regardless of cost, and this mentality supports pricing that would seem insane for almost any other modern coin. Beyond the wide AM variety itself, condition is absolutely paramount when it comes to value, and I cannot stress this enough. A 1999 D-wide AM penny in circulated condition with scratches, and damage might be worth $100 to $300 depending on how bad the condition is, which is still a nice return on a 1-cent coin, but it's nowhere near the $4,000 that gem uncirculated examples command. The difference between a coin graded MS64 and one graded MS67 can be thousands of dollars, because those few extra points on the grading scale represent exponentially better preservation, sharper strike, fuller luster, better eye appeal, and fewer distracting marks or imperfections. And when you're dealing with a rare variety like the wide AM on 1999 D pennies, every incremental improvement in grade translates directly into massive increases in value. Let me share some real-world discovery stories that prove these valuable 1999 D pennies are actually findable and not just theoretical treasures locked away in museums or elite collections. There's a well-documented case of a coin roll hunter who purchased sealed rolls of 1999 D pennies from a bank that had been storing them in their vault for years, and while carefully examining each coin under magnification, this diligent searcher spotted the wide AM spacing on one particular penny that also happened to be in absolutely beautiful uncirculated condition. After getting it authenticated and graded by PCGS, the coin came back as MS66RD, and when it was consigned to a major numismatic auction, the final hammer price exceeded $3,800, transforming a 50-cent investment in a penny roll into a windfall that paid for a nice vacation and then some. Another remarkable find happened when an estate sale yielded boxes of old coins that a deceased collector had accumulated over the years, and hidden among thousands of pennies was a 1999 D that upon expert examination revealed the wide AM variety in stunning MS67 grade, which subsequently sold for over $4,200 to a collector who had been searching for exactly that coin to complete their set, and the family who inherited the estate had absolutely no idea such value existed in what they initially thought was just a box of worthless pennies. These stories happen more often than you might think, and they prove that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered by people who take the time to look carefully and educate themselves about what to search for. And that could be you if you're willing to commit to the hunt and learn how to identify these treasures when they appear. So what do you need to do right now if you want to search for a valuable 1999 Lincoln penny, and how can you maximize your chances of actually finding one of these $4,000 coins instead of just dreaming about them? First, you need to acquire 1999 pennies to examine, and there are several strategies for doing this. You can start by checking all your pocket change carefully, looking through old coin jars and piggy banks that might contain pennies from the late 1990s, purchasing sealed rolls of 1999 pennies from banks or online dealers who sell unsearched rolls, buying bulk lots of pennies from estate sales or coin shows, or even networking with older relatives and friends who might have change. Containers they haven't touched in decades. Once you've got your hands on some 1999 pennies, you need the right equipment to examine them properly, which means investing in a quality magnifying loupe with at least 10x magnification, ideally 20x or higher so you can see fine details clearly, and you might also want to get a digital microscope that connects to your computer if you're really serious about searching, because these allow you to examine coins at extreme magnification and take photos for comparison purposes. When you're looking at the reverse of each penny, focus laser-like attention on that word America, specifically the spacing between the A and the M. On close AM pennies, which are the normal variety, these letters are positioned very close together with minimal gap. But on wide AM pennies, you'll see a distinct separation that's unmistakable once you've trained your eye by studying reference images online. There are fantastic resources available, including YouTube videos with close-up comparisons, coin collecting websites with detailed photos, and forums where experienced collectors share their knowledge and help newcomers learn to identify varieties correctly. So take advantage of these educational tools before you start your search, so you'll know exactly what you're looking for and won't miss it when it appears. Now, assuming you find what you believe is a 1999 wide AM penny, your next steps are absolutely critical, because how you handle and authenticate the coin will directly impact its value and marketability. First and foremost, do not clean the coin under any circumstances, because cleaning destroys originality and can reduce value by 50% or more, even if you're just trying to make it look nicer. The coin market prizes original surfaces, and any attempt to clean, polish, or alter the coin will be detected by professional graders and will result in either a details grade that tanks the value or outright rejection. Handle the coin as little as possible with your bare fingers, because skin oils contain acids and contaminants that can cause spotting and toning over time. Instead, use cotton gloves or hold the coin by its edges only, and immediately place it in a protective holder like a 2x2 cardboard flip with a plastic window or a hard plastic coin capsule to prevent scratches and environmental damage. Your next decision is whether to submit the coin for professional grading and authentication by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected third-party grading services in the numismatic industry. And while there's a cost involved in submitting a coin, which typically ranges from $20 to $100 depending on the service level and turnaround time, this investment is absolutely essential if you want to realize maximum value for a rare variety like the wide AM, because serious collectors and dealers will only pay top dollar for coins that have been professionally certified and encapsulated in tamper-evident holders. When your coin comes back graded and slabbed by PCGS or NGC, you'll have an official grade on the label, authentication that the variety is genuine, and buyer confidence that makes selling the coin exponentially easier, whether you choose to go through an auction house, sell to a dealer, or list it on online marketplaces frequented by collectors. The market for 1999 wide AM pennies has shown remarkable strength over the past decade, with prices consistently trending upward as more collectors enter the hobby and compete for the limited supply of high-grade examples. Auction records from Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, Great Collections, and other major numismatic auction houses document sales of MS67RD examples in the $3,500 to $4,500 range, with a few exceptional MS68RD specimens reaching $5,000 to $6,000 when multiple determined bidders go head-to-head in bidding wars. These aren't temporary price spikes driven by hype. They're sustained market values supported by genuine collector demand, proven rarity, and the psychological appeal of owning a modern coin that's worth thousands of dollars. And as long as the Lincoln Cent series remains popular among collectors, which it almost certainly will given its historical significance and accessibility, the 1999 wide AM will continue to command premium prices that reward those lucky enough to find examples or smart enough to acquire them before prices climb even higher. There's also something uniquely satisfying about modern rarities like this, because they're achievable for regular collectors who don't have trust funds or unlimited budgets. You don't need to spend $100,000 to own a piece of numismatic history. You just need knowledge, patience, persistence, and maybe a little bit of luck to find a 1999 DYAM in your searches, and suddenly you're holding a $4,000 coin that you acquired for face value or for the minimal cost of buying a few rolls of pennies. And that possibility, that democratic access to potentially life-changing finds, is what makes coin collecting such an incredible hobby that appeals to people from all walks of life. As we reach the conclusion of this journey through 3 extraordinarily valuable Lincoln pennies, I want you to really absorb what we've covered here today, because the knowledge you've gained has genuine real-world application and could literally put thousands of dollars in your pocket if you act on it. We started with the 1968 D Lincoln penny worth $3,100, moved on to the 1998 D Lincoln penny valued at $3,350, and finished with this absolute champion, the 1999 D Lincoln penny that commands an incredible $4,000. And across all 3 coins, the common threads are mint errors, exceptional preservation, and the passion of collectors who will pay premium prices for the coins they need to complete their sets. Every single one of these pennies started life as ordinary pocket change. They were struck by the millions or billions at the Denver Mint, released into circulation, and somehow a tiny fraction of them survived in pristine condition or exhibited rare characteristics that transformed them from 1-cent coins into $1,000 treasures. And that transformation is still happening today as new examples are discovered by diligent searchers who refuse to simply spend their change without examining it first. Your homework assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to start looking through your pennies with fresh eyes and educated awareness, to check those dates and mint marks, to examine the spacing between the A and M in America on your 1998 and 1999 D pennies, to assess condition and look for that telltale mint luster that indicates uncirculated status, and to never again take pocket change for granted, because you now know that fortunes can hide in the most unexpected places. The thrill of discovery, the rush of finding something valuable, the satisfaction of turning knowledge into profit. These are the rewards that await those who take coin collecting seriously. And whether you find a $4,000 penny or simply develop a deeper appreciation for the history and artistry contained in these small copper discs, you'll be richer for the experience in ways that transcend mere money. So get out there, start searching, stay persistent, educate yourself continuously, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next person with an incredible discovery story to share. Maybe you'll find that 1999 DYAM penny in a 67 grade, submit it for authentication, and watch in amazement as auction bidders drive the price up to $4,000 or beyond. And when that happens, remember where you learned about these incredible coins. Remember this video that opened your eyes to the possibilities hiding in plain sight, and most importantly, remember that the world of rare coins is vast, exciting, and filled with opportunities for those brave enough to look closely at what everyone else overlooks. Now get searching, and may your next penny roll contain a treasure that changes your life forever.